nice to meet you.
Dr.
I'm Yvonne.
Faber,
Nice to meet
welcome
you.
to our clinic.
Thank you so
Come
much.
on
I'm
in.
excited.
Yeah, we're excited for you.
I'm excited to see what my brain results show.
Well, we got lots to talk about, as
Oh,
usual. Okay, so why us and why now of all people?
Honest, I did a lot of research and I just thought the Amen clinics would be the best option for me just because I've been to other places, but I was never able to receive like the help I needed. So I just needed to dig deeper, and I heard about Amen clinics through TikTok actually. And I also like through friends too. They were like, hey, you should go to Amen clinics. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I finally had the guts to do it, and I came in because it did take me a lot of like courage to come in. So I did my research and I was like, wow, this looks like an amazing clinic. So that's why I came here. It was the best option, even though I had to fly out. But you know, for the best, for my health, for my brain health, most importantly, like I really wanted to see what was going on with me and see how I can help myself so I can make improvements.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at, when I read your report, a couple thoughts initially came to my mind. One was, it seems like age 21 was a pretty significant year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before age 21, how are things going before then?
Honestly, I did go through a lot, even like before the age 21. Like I did go through like a lot of like childhood things and a lot of trauma too. And even past age 21, I continue to go through even more trauma. So it's like, it's not just like one trauma that I have, it's like multiple, but they were pretty much back to back at the age of 21. They were pretty much like back to back traumas. But before like my age of 21, I was going through traumas, but I didn't know that there were like traumatic things that had happened to me until now, where I'm like at a more like mature age. I was just like, oh wow, like this is why I feel this way. This is why I act towards this way towards a person, because it's the way I grew up, the way, you know, it's just like childhood traumas that I'm just starting to realize that are considered like traumas.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean, mental health has really morphed in the last, I'd say, 10 years, where things we never thought were that important, all of a sudden it's like...
It's getting to me now.
Yeah, and the stigma, right? I would imagine growing up, you just didn't talk about things, or you kind of kept it all to yourself.
Yeah, I know. I did grow up in a culture where it was like an environment where it's like, if you speak about your emotions, and if you cry, if I end up crying, I'm like, I'll get scolded pretty much, instead of like being able to express how I felt. And I just held in so much emotions and whatever I felt. I just enclosed myself in my room all the time. I didn't really go out. I didn't have friends. Like I wasn't allowed to have friends over. I wasn't allowed to go to anything. I wasn't even allowed to play sports. So a lot of those things I just like realized I was just kind of like enclosed into my house. It's not that my family was like abusive or anything. It was just more like it was so strict. I grew up in a very strict environment. Yeah. So I never really had like the chance to like spread my wings in a way, like where I could enjoy being a kid. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like there's living in that sort of environment. It gets kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's like you got all these things going on internally, and what do they mean, or how do I interpret them? How do I label them?
Yeah.
And then there's the other half of his discovery, is how do we use them to find out who we can truly and genuinely become.
Yeah, I think that's really important to be able to like live your age.
All right. So that all said, how would you describe your mood over the last, say, month? Someone said, how you been feeling? What would you say?
Oof. I would say I've been feeling really numb. Like nothing excites me no more. Like I just feel like I'm just like every day is just like the same thing for me. It's just like, oh, I have to wake up, get ready. And now I just feel like I'm just always depressed. I'm always just talking down about myself. I'm always just in this depression hole where it's just, I don't know how to get out of it anymore. That's why I wanted to get my brain scanned.
See what's going on.
Yeah, I want to see what's going on with my brain.
All right, so we're gonna look at the scans. So we get 2 scans. On our surface scans, better blood flow, brain's working really well. Decreased blood flow, brain's not working so well. So what we do is look at different regions to see what the blood flow looks like.
Oh, wow. And I was gonna do this back in January of last year, but I didn't because I backed out again, but finally I built up the courage because I'm ready to make a change.
All right. So there's a strength that you don't even realize maybe you have. To come in here and do that is huge.
Yeah, pat myself on the back.
Pat yourself on the back. And pat yourself, by the way, on the back for figuring out ways to do life at age 21 or 22 after you get booted out the front door.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's little things that are there, which are kind of amazing. I mean, you think about the ways you could go after you leave your house, you know, from living with somebody to living with a bunch of people who maybe are doing things that aren't so healthy.
Yeah.
You know, to living on the streets, and you haven't done any of that.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. So we gotta give you some kudos, right? And not feel guilty.
Yeah. For
constructively taking care of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at your pictures with that all being said. All right. So here are your scans. Resting scan, active scan. I put an iron here already for resting.
Okay.
Also, for when I see this, the harder you try to focus, usually the harder it gets.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, so that we definitely want to help so we can get you focused more effectively. Why would we want to do that? Because the more we can help you focus, the more we can help you, I think at this point in life for you, just get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of go on this journey of discovery.
I'm getting a lot to know myself now.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy.
All right, so you've got bumps here. See how they're like in different places?
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually see that with either head trauma or sometimes with toxins, neuroinflammation, things like mold, mildew, heavy metals like lead or mercury, believe it or not, we're seeing these days. So it's just some of these hits you've had.
Oh, wow.
We got to keep that kind of in the back of our mind. All right, so let's take a look at your below surface scans.
See what it shows.
All right, there's your scans. All right, so resting, R for resting, A for active. We're gonna mainly look at this resting and that active scan. Okay?
Okay, sorry.
All right. Okay, what you thinking?
It looks kind of crazy to me right so far, but I don't know what it is.
All right, we're gonna add some order and clarity to it now.
Okay.
All right, so our cerebellum, our motor and thought coordinator. I like to see a lot of red and white down here.
Yeah.
For the most part, this looks fairly good. All right, now if I go up, our thalamus. All right, we don't even really see it here. We only get really concerned if we see a big white spot or red spot here. Looks fine. This actually looks pretty normal. If I go up, basal ganglia, right basal ganglia, left basal ganglia, should have two little red spots. We get white, which we do. More anxious, nervous, worry, procrastination. So you get kind of like the double whammy now, right?
Yeah.
Temporal lobes outside in basal ganglia.
Yeah.
Our temporal lobes from about 3 o'clock down to 5. See the red there? Make it a little bit more irritable.
Yeah.
Frustrated here. Do you ever get angry?
Yeah, I get angry a lot.
Do you really? Does anyone ever know when you're upset?
I make it pretty much obvious.
You make it so you let people know if you're upset.
I don't like purposely make them know. I just don't know how to control myself sometimes. So
it gets pretty intense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there plus the outside temporal lobes, we'll definitely want to talk about some of that. Sometimes people, it's like they get upset, and if they grow up in a home where it's not safe,
yeah,
you know, we go back into the cave,
yeah,
so to speak. All right, so what would I do? Everything I'll tell you, I'll put in the report. The first half, we've been doing like what I call kind of like visual brain surgery. What's wrong? All right, which is really intense.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna talk about what we can do to help.
Okay.
So there's a lot more hope with this piece. Okay?
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna probably recommend we don't use medications to start off with.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
All right.
I don't want medication.
With the numbers on them. 1, basal ganglia, anxiety, nervousness, worry, tension. One of the 2 areas you got anxiety from. All right.
Yeah.
These get hot. I get concerned because people find things they shouldn't use to calm them down.
Yeah.
Like in this state, marijuana. Okay. Pain pills and then alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. And they work. All right. That's the scary part. So we feel disinhibited. We can finally be ourselves. But they're addictive, we know that. Second, they're toxic. They cause more bombs on our cortex.
Yeah.
Medically, we used to use a lot of benzodiazepines, medications like Ativan or Xanax, Klonopin to help here, and they were great. The only problem is they're addictive too.
Yeah.
And they can be toxic to our cortex. All right.
Okay.
We also have used Buspar and gabapentin in the past. All right. So any of these medications sound familiar I've said so far?
None.
None. So, I mean, this is part of the challenge, is the things that we would try to help here.
Yeah.
You're not anything.
Okay.
All right. Now, I'm not a big fan of using those to start off with. Ativan and Xanax bind to where? The GABA receptors in our basal ganglia. We find if you just use the supplement GABA, helps calm these down. It's not addictive, and it doesn't cause bumps all over your cortex.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to suggest we use GABA. I would suggest you get our GABA Calm. Our GABA Calm's got GABA, but it also has magnesium, vitamin B6, and some theanine. Those last three help here, but they also permeate out, and they can help support our internal temporal lobes. One. And then they can help these external temporal lobes too. All right, so we will make you a bit anxious and irritable. Okay, so your whole cortex. I want to see this get a lot smoother.
Yeah.
I want you to focus a little bit better here. All right, I'd like to see this area get a little bit smoother. People get a lot of foggy brain.
Yeah.
When I see this as well.
Yeah, I do get a lot of fog.
Yeah, so we'll see that with a lot here. Anything that increases oxygen or blood flow helps our cortex start to rehabilitate itself. We don't even know any medications that support that yet.
Okay.
All right, but from all of our NFL players hitting their heads, Dr. Amen discovered 7 supplements that help support our 6-cell layer thick cerebral cortex to get the things it needs. All right. Rather than taking all 7 separately, which would be kind of crazy, he took 6 of the 7 and put them in 1 capsule. So it's easier to take and it's a lot less expensive to take.
Okay.
We call it brain and memory power boost. The more those membranes move, usually the better we focus and the better we feel.
Oh, that'll be helpful.
Okay. Yeah.
So it all comes to me at the end of the day. Like, I need to put in the effort, and if I want my brain healthy, I need to like push myself
in a positive direction.
Yeah, in a positive direction for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Well,
I really
thank
appreciate
me
it.
when you're better. I like you. I don't like how you're doing. You know? I want you to do better.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It was really interesting to see, like, learning about my brain, like what's going up in there.